It was supposed to be a moment of glory. The world held its breath. Christie's auction house was packed wall to wall, had cameras flashing, bidders silent, and at the center of it all, a painting. Not just any painting, a ghost from the Renaissance. A portrait of Christ holding the world in one hand, blessing it with the other. Simple, calm, mysterious. Its name? Salvator Mundi. Its rumored creator? Leonardo da Vinci himself. And then $450.3 million. The hammer dropped. A single bid shattered every record in art history. This wasn't just the most expensive painting ever sold. It became the most expensive object ever sold at auction. And then, it disappeared. Gone. No gallery display, no grand unveiling, just vanished. Imagine spending $500 million on a piece of history and then hiding it like a stolen secret. Why? Let's rewind a bit. Salvator Mundi wasn't always a headline. In fact, it was almost thrown in the trash. Back in 2005, it sat dusty and ignored at a small New Orleans estate sale. Covered in overpaint, cracks, rotting canvas. A couple of art dealers bought it for just $1,175 because they saw something others didn't. They cleaned it up, stripped away centuries of grime, brought in experts, and that's when the whispers started. This might be Leonardo. This brushstroke, look at the hand. Only Da Vinci did that. This could be worth millions. But the art world divided. Some swore it was real, others rolled their eyes. Too damaged, too many repairs, too much mystery. Still, Christie's put it up for auction. And the night of the sale? Phones rang from 5 continents. Russian billionaires, Chinese tech giants, Saudi royalty. But one name was whispered louder than the rest. Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. A man who buys jets like people buy sneakers. A man with ambitions beyond oil. He won the bid. Via a proxy, $450 million. All cash. And then, like a magician, poof, gone. People expected to see Salvator Mundi displayed proudly in a museum. Maybe the Louvre, maybe Riyadh. But months passed, years, and no one's seen it since. Not a glimpse, not a leak, not a shadow, just silence. Some say it's hidden in Switzerland, inside a high-security art vault, surrounded by lasers, guards, and insurance papers taller than your fridge. Others believe it's in a private yacht, the Serene, one of the largest super yachts ever built, owned by, you guessed it, MBS. Yes, you heard that right. The most expensive painting in the world. Might be floating on international waters hung next to a jacuzzi and a helicopter pad. Let that sink in. A painting of Christ, locked away where no one can see it. No scholars, no public, no one. But here's where it gets really strange. Some experts now believe the painting wasn't painted by Leonardo at all. The Louvre, when offered the painting for a Da Vinci exhibition, reportedly said, "We'll include it, but not as an authentic Da Vinci unless we see real proof." Guess what happened? The owner refused, pulled the painting, and poof, back into hiding it went. Now the art world is left with a $450 million ghost, and the questions keep stacking up. If it is real, well, why not prove it? If it's fake, why not deny it? And if it's just about money, why spend that much for a painting no one's allowed to admire? Because maybe it's not just about money, maybe it's about power. So what exactly makes this painting so suspicious? Let's start with the face. Art experts zoomed in, studied every pixel, and something strange emerged. The eyes are off. Not in a cartoonish way. They're calm, divine, but also unfinished. Like Da Vinci started painting and stopped halfway, which sounds crazy until you realize he did that a lot. The Mona Lisa, he worked on it for 16 years. Never considered it done. But here's where it gets weirder. Using infrared scanning, art historians discovered 2 sets of hands beneath the top layer of paint. Yep, 2. One, clearly drawn by a master. The second, a little clumsy, less detail, a different angle. It's as if someone repainted it later and tried to copy Da Vinci's work. So now the question isn't, is it by Leonardo? It's how much of it is Leonardo. And if 80% of it was repainted in the 1600s, 1800s, even 2005, Then how much is left of the original? Imagine paying $450 million for a painting, and most of it isn't even the original paint. Ouch. But it gets darker, because hidden beneath the top layers, X-rays showed something else. A thumbprint, faint, smudged but unmistakable, right next to the orb in Christ's hand. Now here's where the goosebumps kick in. Leonardo da Vinci was known to leave fingerprints in his work. Not as a signature, just from working so closely with oil paint and glaze. Some of his genuine prints are on file in forensic labs, and the one on Salvator Mundi? It matched, not perfectly, but close enough to raise every eyebrow in the room. So now you've got this ghost painting, with ghost paint and the ghost of Da Vinci's thumb. Let's talk about the orb, that crystal clear globe in Christ's hand. Looks normal, but it's scientifically wrong. You see, if Jesus were holding a real crystal orb, it should distort the background, like a fisheye lens. But in Salvator Mundi, the orb is transparent, perfect, undisturbed. Why would Da Vinci, who is obsessed with optics, anatomy, and light, ignore that? One theory? He was making a point, that Christ's power wasn't subject to natural laws. He holds the world, but isn't bound by it. That's genius-level symbolism. Or maybe someone else painted it later and didn't know physics. See how deep the rabbit hole goes? But here's the kicker. The Louvre wanted to display the painting in their Da Vinci retrospective. They even had a spot for it, right next to Saint John the Baptist. But only if they could label it, by Leonardo da Vinci. They asked for scientific evidence, full transparency, all documentation. The owner refused. Why? No one knows. Maybe the painting couldn't stand up to that kind of pressure. Maybe the truth isn't just complicated, maybe it's inconvenient. And that brings us to a chilling thought. What if this painting was never meant to be seen again? Think about it. For 500 years it disappeared. No trace, no records, no mentions in royal inventories. Then suddenly, it pops up in New Orleans covered in paint and decay, gets restored, sold for a 100% profit, then vanishes again. It's like the painting is playing hide and seek with history, and every time we get close, it slips back into the dark. Art collectors, they're obsessed, because owning a Da Vinci isn't just about art, it's about immortality. Only 15 paintings in the world are confirmed to be his, and if you have one, you don't just buy status, you buy a piece of eternity. But here's the irony. This might be the only Da Vinci no one's allowed to see. A masterpiece turned myth, a holy image locked in luxury. So what if the painting isn't missing? What if it's been right in front of us this whole time? Let's rewind to 2019. The Louvre had just pulled off the biggest Da Vinci exhibition in history. Crowds lined up for hours. Mona Lisa? Check. The Vitruvian Man? Check. And Salvator Mundi? Nowhere. But here's the strange part. That year, a private meeting took place in a heavily guarded wing of the Louvre. Only a few people were present. And what they saw? An official report, prepared by Louvre experts, signed, sealed, and stamped. That report allegedly confirmed, yes, Salvator Mundi was painted by Leonardo da Vinci. Genuine. Real. So why didn't the Louvre show it to the world? Because the Saudi government reportedly made one demand. If you want the painting, you hang it right next to the Mona Lisa. Equal status, equal light, equal importance. And the Louvre? Said number. Not because it wasn't Da Vinci, but because they weren't ready to rewrite history. That's how sensitive this painting is. It's not just a canvas, it's a crown. And if you give it to the wrong king, the whole art world tilts. So the Saudis pulled out, took their painting, took the report, and locked both away. Now, here's where it gets borderline cinematic. In 2021, a leaked document surfaced. It wasn't meant for the public, but someone, somewhere, snapped a photo of the Louvre's secret analysis. Autograph work by Leonardo da Vinci. It should have been front-page news. Instead, silence. No confirmations, no denials, just quiet. And every day since, the question grows louder. Where is Salvator Mundi right now? Some say it's still aboard the Serene yacht, sailing between safe ports under heavy security. Others whisper it's been moved to a private vault in Riyadh, buried beneath a palace. But there's a more chilling theory. What if the painting was damaged or stolen? Or, most terrifying of all, destroyed accidentally and no one wants to admit it? Imagine being the richest man in the world, owning a priceless artifact, and watching it disintegrate in front of you. What do? Simple. You pretend it never existed. You buy the reports, silence the experts, and let the myth grow while the truth fades away. That's the power of secrecy. That's the power of money. And that's the genius of hiding something in plain sight. Because whether it's on a yacht, in a vault, or a hidden gallery, Salvator Mundi doesn't need to be seen to be felt. It haunts the art world, it mocks the experts, and it reminds all of us that not every masterpiece belongs to the people. Some are meant to be hoarded, hidden, erased. Because in a world where power buys silence, even a painting of Christ can vanish like smoke. And maybe that's the final twist. This wasn't a sale. This was a heist in broad daylight. $450 million paid not just for the painting, but for its silence. No lectures, no debates, no controversy, just gone. So the next time you walk through a museum and stare at an empty wall, ask yourself, what else is missing? What else has been bought and buried? And what if the world's greatest treasures aren't in frames anymore, but in vaults, guarded by men in suits owned by ghosts? If that gave you chills, hit that like button so hard it echoes through the art world. Drop a comment. Where do you think Salvator Mundi is? And share this before it disappears. Just like the painting. Because sometimes the most valuable things on earth are the ones you'll never see again.